Good morning, everyone, and we are here with the revision sessions that we have planned for financial reporting. Now, a word to the wise that you have to understand that these sessions are aimed at what? These sessions are aimed at doing a rapid revision of your FR syllabus. So, what we'll be doing is we'll be covering multiple choice questions in each session. So let's say today I think I have circulated the PDF with you. So what you will get is you will get the entire session in one place, all the MCQs solved. We'll be solving around 25 MCQs every day. And we'll also be doing section C questions, that is questions on analysis of financial statements, questions on single entity financial statements, and questions on consolidation from section C also towards the end. Now, along with that, I know there is one area that everyone struggles with a lot, and that is how to tackle section C questions. So, while we do that, from today onwards, there is a special activity that I'll be doing. Okay, on your individual groups, yeah, on your individual chats, I will be sharing one section C or rather two section C questions every day, which I would want you to solve within 24 hours. You send it to me and I will check it, evaluate it, give you marks out of 20, and also give you a detailed feedback on what went right and what went wrong. For those who are not a part of my regular FR batch, so in this video, so the video takes a couple of hours to be ready after a live session. So in the description box and in the comment section, I'll be putting link to one drive. Okay, that drive will contain the MCQ solved for the day, MCQs solved for the day, and whatever section C practice homework that I want to give you. I can assure you, see, there are still around 17 days left for your exam. So if you consider 14 days, the next 14 days, and even if you do two section C questions per day, which is how much time? Which is roughly 45 minutes of 45 plus 45, 1.5 hours of your time every day. I can tell you there's no way you will not clear FR. You will end up clearing the paper provided you follow the instructions that have come from me. Okay, at any point in time, if you face any doubt or whatever, you can let me know in the chat box and I will immediately I'll explain the solution, explain the answer to you, and we can take it from there. And let's make sure that we are very very attentive in these sessions so that whatever is being discussed you are able to grasp it properly. Okay, chalo, let's begin. I have shared the PDF with you already. Now just let me know in the chat box if you can see my screen. Just a yes will be enough. Perfect. Now see, these are, I have given the question numbers, okay? 2, 5, 9, 13, 14 जो मैंने उठाया है from the Kaplan kit. So these are kit question numbers. यहाँ पे naturally मैंने उसको 1, 2, 3, 4 arrange किया है. 2, 8, 10 ऐसे करूँगा तो बेकार लगेगा, confusing हो जाएगा. Now pay attention. Always make sure that the first thing you read is the requirement of the question. So ये जो bold में लिखा होता है, that is the first thing you should read, and read it twice so that you don't go wrong with what has been asked. ठीक है. What is the before we begin today's session and a part of the next session, which will be on Wednesday, this will be based on the asset based standards. Now, which are these standards? IAS 16, 20, 23. So property, plant and equipment, IAS 16, IAS 20, government grants, IAS 23, borrowing cost, IAS 40, investment property, IAS 38, intangible assets, IAS 36, impairment of assets, IFRS 5, non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations, IAS 2, inventory, IAS 41, agriculture. ये जो 9 standards है, if I were to be very ऑब्जेक्टिव एंड जजमेंट, इफ आई वर टू पास अ जजमेंट, ये 9 स्टैंडर्ड्स में आपका लगभग 30% ऑफ द पेपर इन सेक्शन ए बी एंड सी बस ये 9 स्टैंडर्ड्स में कवर हो जाता है. ठीक है. सो दीज स्टैंडर्ड्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो सेक्शन सी के कोई एडजस्टमेंट्स आप पकड़ लो, सेक्शन ए बी के एमसीक्यूज आप पकड़ लो, सब मिला के 30 मार्क्स तो ये आज और कल के जो स्टैंडर्ड्स हम करेंगे वहीं से आ रहा है. ऑल्सो एट द एंड different intervals of time, I'll also be revising the accounting standards with you. ठीक है, तो उसका भी आप टेंशन मत लो, फर्स्ट फोकस ऑन दिस. What is the total charge to the statement of profit or loss in respect of decommissioning for the year ended 30th June 20x5? Year ended 30th June 20x5. ठीक है. On 1st of July 20x4, experimenter opened a chemical reprocessing plant. This was due to be active for 5 years until 30th of June 20x9, when it would be decommissioned. At 1st of July 20x4, the cost of decommissioning the plant was estimated to be 4 million in 5 years' time. Experimenter considers that a discount rate of 12% is appropriate for the calculation of a present value, and the discount factor at 12% for 5 years is 0.567. Now, luckily, in this question, they have told you what is the discounting factor. ठीक है. In a lot of cases, they don't necessarily tell you what is the discounting factor. तो उस केस में आपको कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा by using the formula 1/1 plus r raised to n. ठीक है. So keeping that in mind, they have asked you कि what is the total charge to the statement of profit or loss in respect of decommissioning for the year ended 30th June 20x5. Now, let's go to the Excel sheet now. ठीक है, एक्सेल शीट में मैं इसका एक स्क्रीनशॉट लगाया करूंगा. आई विल पुट अ स्क्रीनशॉट सो दैट यू नो विच क्वेश्चन आर वी टॉकिंग अबाउट. ठीक है, एंड these are all taken from the kit and from the study hub. मतलब कुछ किट से है, कुछ स्टडी हब से है. a lot of questions तो are repetitive and common anyway. ठीक है, इसको देखिए. now what is the amount payable after 5 years? Amount payable after 5 years is 4 million. ठीक है. Now decommissioning liability has to be provision for decommissioning बोलो, decommissioning liability बोलो, it has to be recorded at the present value payable at some, है ना, जो future में आपको amount pay करना है उसका present value is the amount at which the decommissioning liability has to be recorded. ठीक है. So decommissioning liability should be recorded at present value of the amount to be paid after 5 years. Now, present value of 4 million is 4 into 0.567. ठीक है, 4 million into 0.567. 0.567 is the discounting factor which is given to you in the question. ठीक है. So this is, oh please pay attention, कभी कभी question में क्या होगा, they will say what is the total charge to the statement of profit or loss in respect of decommissioning. ये question में है. किसी और question में शायद वो पूछ लेंगे आपको कि what is the balance of decommissioning liability in the balance sheet. तो यू हैव टू बी केयरफुल कि आपको क्या पूछा है, अदरवाइज आप गलत चीज लिख के आ जाएंगे पेपर में. नाउ फिनेंस चार्जेस, और रादर आई वुड से अनवाइंडिंग ऑफ डिस्काउंट, जिसके लिए अनदर वर्ड इज फिनेंस चार्जेस. हाउ विल यू कैलकुलेट दिस? 22,68,000 into 5%, 5% नहीं, सॉरी 12%, 272,160. Have we done it right? Yes. But यार ये 272,160 तो कहीं पे नहीं दिख रहा है. So have we done it wrong? That is the question. क्या अपना calculation गलत है? No. Our answer is not wrong. We have only solved half of the question. What have they asked you? They have asked you what will be the charge in respect of decommissioning. एक तो होगा finance cost with respect to decommissioning, but at the same time, see, when decommissioning liability is recorded, the entry is by property plant and equipment account debit to decommissioning liability, right? एक तो हो गया आपका unwinding of discount to decommissioning liability account credit. आपने पीपीई को भी कितने से डेबिट किया होगा? 22,68,000 से पीपीई का वैल्यू भी बढ़ा होगा. नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ decommissioning the value of PPE increased by 22,68,000. So what is the depreciation per annum due to decommissioning liability? कितना है आपका depreciation per annum? It will be 22,68,000 upon 5. 22,68,000 upon 5. The total will be 453,600 plus 272,160. What will be the total? Total expense 725,760. Now, what was the question? Total charge to statement of P&L in respect of decommissioning. They had not asked what is the finance charges. They had asked total charge to P&L in respect of decommissioning liability, which is why it is necessary to read the question properly. Answer is option B. Okay? Is it clear to everyone? If if any aspect is not clear, let me know. We'll take it up. Okay. Now, this was the first one. Now, which is why I keep on saying one thing, more than half your job will be done if you read the question correctly. अगर आपने question पढ़ने में गलती कर दिया तो see, right now you did not have anything else. What if that 272, 160 वाला figure is also mentioned? Just give me one moment, huh, guys? Just one moment. Okay, sorry for that minor interruption. Sometimes my dog creates some mini ruckus, so I have to go and attend to his needs. Chalo. Now let's look at the second question. On 1st of Jan 20x1, STI received $1 million from the local government on the condition that they employ at least 100 staff each year for the next 4 years. ठीक है? Due to an economic downturn and reduced consumer demand, on 1st of Jan 20x2, STI no longer needed to employ any more staff and the conditions of the grant required full repayment. ठीक है? What should be recorded in the financial statements on 1st of Jan 20x2? This is a revenue grant, by the way. It was not received towards purchase of a capital asset. It is a regular grant that you have received. Okay. So this is a revenue grant. What will be the entry on 1st of Jan 20x1? You have received the grant. Okay. Entry will be by bank account debit to deferred income, government grant. है ना? Why deferred income? Because you cannot recognize the entire amount of income in one go. How much? 1 million. Now this was on the condition that 100 staff should be employed each year. ठीक है? So this, the income from this grant would be spread over 4 years. Now, what did you do? So the first year went by. So what would be the entry on 31st of December 20x1? The first year went by, the total income, so 10 lakh was recorded as deferred income. Out of that, out of 4 years, 1 year has gone by. So your entry will now be by deferred income grant account debit to, आप उसको ग्रांट इनकम बोल सकते हो, एंड देन यू कैन क्रेडिट टू पी एंड एल, और यू कैन स्ट्रेट अवे क्रेडिट द प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट, दोनों भी चलेगा. तो हमने स्ट्रेट अवे पी एंड एल को क्रेडिट कर दिया. ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड ड्यू टू सम चेंजेस इन इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस, reduced consumer demand on 1st of Jan, STI no longer needed to employ the staff, and the conditions, if you cannot employ that much staff, the grant condition tells you that the entire amount has to be repaid. Now, if the entire amount has to be repaid, then what will happen? Bank account will be credited with one, बैंक अकाउंट विल बी क्रेडिटेड विथ 10 लाख. ठीक है, जितना आपने रीपे किया फुल 10 लाख के साथ बैंक अकाउंट विल बी क्रेडिटेड. सी, टिल दिस डेट व्हाट वाज, you started the deferred income account with 10 lakh ka balance, you had transferred 2,50,000 to P&L, so 7,50,000 was still left in the deferred income grant account. ठीक है. सो अभी क्या होगा? deferred income grant account will be debited with 7,50,000, which is the balance in that account. And जो आपका P&L है, see, you had credited P&L with 250, but now that amount has been repaid. So यहाँ पे आप क्या करेंगे? You will debit profit and loss account. ठीक है. So deferred income account debit with the balance in that particular account, and P&L account was debited with the amount it had been credited with in the past. So deferred income debit 750, P&L debit 250 to bank. ठीक है. Reduce deferred income balance by 750 and recognize a loss of 250. ठीक है. This is the expected answer. ठीक है. Have a look. And if there is any question, please let me know. I'll scroll to the entry as well. Have a look. Everyone, make sure that you have understood, and make sure that you, if you have a question, you let me know in the chat box. ठीक है. Now, the third question is on, again, जो अपने asset based standards है वहीं से ये question है. Let's see what is the third question all about. And one area now where a lot of students make mistakes or they feel underprepared, that area is section B. So today, after doing the section A questions, around 15 section A questions, we will be doing 2 section B questions also. ठीक है. So that आपको एक section B का भी exposure you will get. Now, Pootle company received a government grant of 60,000 on 1st of September. The conditions of the grant state that Pootle company must employ a local worker on a full-time contract over a period of 5 years. Pootle company expects to meet the conditions of the grant. The full grant has been recorded as other income for the year ended 31st of December 20x4. What is the adjustment required to account correctly for the grant as at 31st of December 20x4? ठीक है. Now, what is the, when they received the grant, what incorrect entry did they record? They recorded an entry bank account debit to government grant. पूरा का पूरा उन्होंने इनकम करके उसको ट्रीट कर दिया. ठीक है. So what is the incorrect entry recorded? Incorrect entry that is recorded that they did was by bank account debit to government grant income. मतलब उसको सीधा P&L में डालने का उन्होंने ये कर दिया. ठीक है. टू गवर्नमेंट ग्रांट इनकम, नॉट डेफर्ड इनकम. डेफर्ड इनकम नहीं, दिस इज स्पेसिफिकली इनकम. व्हेन आई से इनकम, That means it goes to P&L. Entire amount was credited to P&L. कितना? 60,000. This is the incorrect entry that they have recorded. What is the correct entry? See, 5 year का grant था, ठीक है, grant was received on 1st of September 20x4. This grant covered a period of 5 years, ठीक है. So amount to be credited to P&L income each year will be 60,000 upon 5, that is 12,000. Now grant was received on 1st of September 20x4 and year ends on 31st of December 20x4. Now tell me one thing, how many months from September 20x4 to December 20x4? Let me know in the chat box, कितने months होंगे? Let me 4 months, ठीक है. So how much income should be recorded in P&L for the year ended 31 December 20x4? कितना इनकम रिकॉर्ड करना चाहिए? This should be 12,000 into 4 by 12, which should be 4,000. So correct entry should have been, ठीक है, बैंक अकाउंट डेबिट टू गवर्नमेंट ग्रांट इनकम, ये तो ठीक है, बट दिस शुड बी डेबिटेड विद 60, दिस शुड बी क्रेडिटेड विद 4 एंड टू deferred income grant account कितना? 56,000. So this should have been the correct entry. अब you have to record, they have asked you what adjustment is required to rectify. अब आप देखो, bank should have been debited, bank has been debited, तो इसमें कोई problem नहीं है. This is okay. Bank का debit is okay. But second thing is that the grant income should have been credited with 4,000. What has happened is it has been credited with 60,000, which is incorrect, है ना. So to should have been credited with 60 but was credited with 4,000. So आपका rectification entry क्या होगा? Rectification entry will be, so by government grant income account debit, how much? 56,000 to deferred income. ठीक है. अब इससे क्या हो गया? इससे the government grant which had been credited with 60 has now been debited with 56. 60 का credit, 56 का debit, तो बचा कितने का credit? 4,000 का credit बचेगा, and this should be your rectification entry. ठीक है. So this is how a government grant का question can be tested. एक first approach we saw, this is the second approach. ठीक है. Are you with me? Cool. So 2 questions on government grant back to back. The next one is on similar lines. इसमें थोड़ा सा ना इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी का भी डिस्कशन, ठीक है. इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन, हैव अ लुक. If any one of you is attempting AA or if anyone is attempting tax, I don't know. I know some of you who are attending tax, but the others, I will be conducting revision sessions for these papers also. If you check my LinkedIn profile today after 1 p.m, you will get the updated timetable. तो अगर आप AA लिख रहे हो या आप tax लिख रहे हो, तो you can attend those sessions also. ठीक है. चलो देखो, Smithson Co purchased a new building with a 50-year life for 10 million on 1st of Jan 20x3. one thing that you should start get into the habit of doing is ना, write down the details. मतलब इतना अच्छे से पेपर में नहीं लिखा तो भी चलेगा, you don't have so much time, but get into the habit of noting down the critical details. ठीक है. What is the date of purchase? 1st of Jan 20x3. Useful life 50 years. Cost of purchase $10 million. On 30th June 20x5, Smithson Company moved out of the building and rented it out to third parties on a short-term lease. So, till 30th June 20x5, Smithson was itself occupying the building. So, an asset occupied for your own use is property, plant, and equipment. Till 30th June 20x5, the building was PPE. Why? It was self-occupied till this date. Any self-occupied property comes under property, plant, and equipment. ठीक है. Now, can you tell me SLM depreciation per annum? How is SLM depreciation calculated? Cost minus estimated residual value divided by estimated useful life. ठीक है. So, 10 million residual value not given to you divided by 50. What is your depreciation per annum? 2 lakh. Now, how many years went by from 1st of Jan 20x3 to 30th June 20x5? How many years? So, Jan 20x3 to 30th June 20x5. पूरा 2003, पूरा 2004 and 2005 का half. So, 2.5 years. So, accumulated depreciation till date कितना है? 2 lakh into 2.5. Just writing it here, 2 lakh into 2.5. Now, tell me, what is the carrying amount? Carrying amount on 30th June 20x5. See, carrying amount is cost minus accumulated depreciation till date. So, cost minus accumulated depreciation till date, 10 million minus 5 lakh. ठीक है. अब ये हो गया मेरा carrying amount. Now, that is the first step. Excuse me, so to say. अब when this happens, let's understand कि ये revaluation हुआ तो किस मतलब what is the situation after this. ठीक है. Smithson Company uses the fair value model for investment property. At 30th June, the fair value of the property was 11 million, and on 31st of December, it was 11.5 million. ठीक है. 30th June को fair value was 11 million, and classification is changing. है ना? Use is changing. That means classification is changing. ठीक है. From PPE to investment property. Why investment property? Because now you are giving it out on rent to others, and you are giving it out on short-term lease to third parties. So now it is investment property, and fair value model is used for investment property. ठीक है. Fair value model is used for investment property. So the rule always is revalue first, reclassify later. So revalue as per revalue first, classification change के पहले revalue. So revalue as per PPE rule. PPE rule में क्या है? The revaluation का जो भी gain है that goes to revaluation surplus, right? So by building account debit, to revaluation surplus account credit. कितना? They are saying 11 million is the revalued amount on 1st of ऑन 30th ऑफ जून माइनस कैरिंग अमाउंट, ये हो जाएगा 15 लाख। ठीक है, रीवैल्यू एज पर पीपीई रूल ऑन 30th June 20x5। now classification changes, so from 30th June 20x5 it is investment property। now you know when and you are using fair value model, investment property ka value, whenever we are using the fair value model and the value of the investment property increases, the change in fair value is recorded via P&L account। so abhi entry kya hoga, now the entry will be by building account debit to प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट। ठीक है, कितने कितना अमाउंट से होगा ये, 11 मिलियन का वैल्यू हो गया 11.5 मिलियन ऑन 31st ऑफ डिसम्बर, सो 0.5 मिलियन दैट मीन्स 5 लाख। just writing it here for your reference, 11.5 million minus 11 million, and here I am saying revalued again on 31st of December 20x5 now as investment property। ठीक है, this is the revaluation का entry। how much should be credited to P&L? the answer is be careful। now be careful, why am I saying this? what is the total net amount to be recorded in the statement of P&L? आप 5 लाख का अमाउंट देखेंगे, आपको लगेगा अरे मुझे सब आता है, and you will record how much, you will record 5 lakh as the answer। and by the way ऑप्शन में 5 लाख दिया है, ठीक है, so 100% you will miss out on a mark। पूछा क्या है देखो, लुक एट द चॉइस ऑफ वर्ड्स, ऑलवेज सुपर क्रिटिकल। यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है, नेट अमाउंट टू बी रिकॉर्डेड इन स्टेटमेंट ऑफ P&L इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ द ऑफिस। नाउ इन दिस ईयर डू यू अग्री दैट टिल 30th of June 20x5 the building was PPE, and if the building is PPE, don't you think there has to be a depreciation expense with respect to this property plant and equipment? 6 महीने का depreciation आपको record करना पड़ेगा, right? so depreciation must be recorded for 6 months till it is PPE। ठीक है, आपका per annum depreciation है 2 लाख, so 6 months depreciation will be 2 lakh into 6/12, that is 1 lakh। ये देखो इसके साथ कोरिलेशन है आपका। so what has happened here, there is 6 months का depreciation 1 lakh, there is P&L को credit 5 lakh। what is the net impact in P&L? net impact in P&L is 5 lakh minus 1 lakh, that is 4 lakh। ठीक है, so your answer should be option A, net income 4 lakh। had I been your age and in your stage, मेरा भी by default I would have chosen option B, but that is not the case। this is where things go wrong, because we often end up thinking कि यार जो सबसे पहले कैलकुलेट किया वही आपका आंसर है, but we don't realize कि यार there is a need to read the full question properly। if you don't read the requirement in the question, invariably आपका mistake होगा। एंड प्रॉब्लम ये नहीं है कि सी इफ यू डोंट हैव नॉलेज ना, बात अलग होती है, बट दिस इज नॉट अ नॉलेज इशू, दिस इज अ रीडिंग इशू यार। this is not a problem that you are facing because you don't have enough knowledge, this mistake happens because you are in a hurry। ठीक है, so some of the or one of the many things that you must avoid is this, the I'm emphasizing and I will keep on emphasizing till the last day, please read the question carefully, otherwise कोई फायदा नहीं है। ठीक है, चलो let's have a look at the next one। What are the total borrowing costs to be capitalized in respect of the warehouse? Gilbert took a 7.5 million 10% loan on 1st of January 20x6 to build a new warehouse during the year. Okay. Construction of warehouse began on 1st of Feb and was completed on 30th November. As not all the funds were needed immediately, Gilbert invested 2 million in 4.5% bonds from 1st of Jan. Now, capitalization of borrowing cost should start when all the three conditions are met. What are the three conditions that should be met? Uh, Borrowing cost is being incurred, then expenditure on asset is being incurred, and activities necessary to get the asset ready have started basically. है ना? Now, Gilbert took out a loan on 1st of Jan 20x6. So borrowing cost कब से लगेगा? Borrowing cost लगेगा from 1st of Jan 20x6 to build a new warehouse during the year. Construction of the warehouse began on 1st of February. So from what date was the expenditure on asset being incurred? Expenditure was on the asset was being incurred from 1st of Feb 20x6 and was completed on so and so date, and as not all the funds were needed immediately, it invested it elsewhere. ये activities necessary to get the asset ready, not given anything, तो रहने दो इसको. Now when are all the three conditions fulfilled? All the three conditions get fulfilled on 1st of Feb 20x6. So that is the date during which, or rather that is the date from which the capitalization should start. And when will it end? It should end on 30th of November. ठीक है. So if this is my financial year, we start from Jan, we end in December. ठीक है. मेरा कैपिटलाइजेशन कब से शुरू होगा? My capitalization started or should start on 1st of Feb, should end on 1st of Feb 20x6, and this should be 30th of November 20x6. Count and tell me how many months here. Capitalize for how many months? बताइए, let me know in the chat box. 10 months. Very good. What is the rate of interest? It is a 10% loan. ठीक है. So 7.5 million into 10% into 10 by 12. कितना होगा? चलो 7.5 million this into 10% into 10 by 12. 6,25,000. ठीक है. Now, Gilbert, as not all the funds were required immediately, Gilbert invested 2 million in 4.5% bonds. ठीक है. This is the same time frame. Now, the investment in bonds, when did that happen? Be careful. The investment in bonds happened on this date, 1st of Jan. है ना? 1st of Jan को invest हुआ till 1st of May, till this date. So 1st of Jan 20x6 to 31st of May 20x6. कितने? 31st में नहीं, सॉरी. कब तक था? 1st May तक था. My bad. Tell me how many months? Interest received for how many months? Jan, Feb, March, April. 4 months. ठीक है. So आपका जो interest received है, that will be 2 million into 4.5% into 4 by 12. 4.5% into 4/12 बताइए कितना आता है. I'll call this interest to be capitalized. ठीक है. Let me know in the chat box. मेरा तो 30,000 आ रहा है, आप बताइए. ठीक है. अमाउंट इज 30,000. इंटरेस्ट रिसीव्ड कितना है? 30,000. बट पे अटेंशन. Ideally, what does the accounting standard say? That the interest received should be offset against the amount to be capitalized. तो जो amount to be capitalized है उसमें से you are supposed to adjust the interest, but it should only be for the overlapping period. जो आपका common period है, overlapping period, it should only be for that. Now, what is your overlapping period? Jan से कैपिटलाइजेशन स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम 1 है ना. तो you should not adjust full 30,000. You should only adjust from Feb. this ये हो जाएगा आपका ओवरलैपिंग पीरियड, है ना. सो इंटरेस्ट ऑफ दिस ओवरलैपिंग पीरियड हैज टू बी डिडक्टेड फ्रॉम द टोटल अमाउंट टू बी कैपिटलाइज्ड. ठीक है. Amount to be adjusted against interest paid is just the amount for the overlap period, which is Feb to 1st of May, Feb, March, April. ठीक है. So interest to be adjusted is 2 million into 4.5% into 3/12, है ना. बताइए कितना आता है. I'm getting I've gotten 2 answers, 22,500, which is correct by the way. So what is net amount to be capitalized? This has to be 6,25,000 minus 22,500, which is 6,02,500. What is the total borrowing cost to be capitalized? 6,02,500. ठीक है. Naturally paper में आप you will visualize it, you will think and you will solve. उधर मतलब naturally you are not supposed to do all of these calculations. Just show the number and get a head on. ठीक है. So borrowing cost में this question type is again quite common, where they ask amount to be capitalized कितना होना चाहिए. Now more of a logical question now, not so much of a calculation based one. Let's have a look. Acha, is this question clear to everyone, the one on borrowing cost? ठीक है. Any doubts? Okay. चलो अब ये conceptual है. Which of the following cannot be recognized as an intangible non-current asset in GHK's consolidated statement of financial position? Some words that you must focus on. Cannot, है ना. Otherwise you get very excited and you will write the item that should be recognized. But the question is, what cannot be recognized as an intangible asset in GHK's consolidated statement of financial position? इसका भी कोई एक significance है. In some questions this will carry a lot of importance. Let's understand what condition is that. ठीक है. Have a look. GHK spent 1,32,000 developing a new type of product. In June 20x1, the management worried that it would be too expensive to fund. The finances to complete the project came from a cash injection from a benefactor received in November 20x1. When does my year end? My year ends on 30th September 20x1. Financing kab mila? November 20x1. Now, one of the conditions, see, management has spent money on developing a new product. This is a development expenditure. It is too expensive to fund. मतलब financial feasibility जो हम बोलते हैं, that financial feasibility is not there. Why? Because it is very clear that it is an expensive project to do the funding for. Point one. So, is there financial feasibility on 30th of September? No. And if you remember the conditions for capitalizing development expenditure, one of them is financial feasibility. If financial feasibility is not there, then this item cannot be recognized as an intangible asset in the financial statements. Very clearly, A is your answer. This is an amount that cannot be recognized. Okay. Reason for A, not financially feasible on 30th of September 20x1. See, November में पैसा आया is a separate point, but at the end of the year, it was not financially feasible, which was one of the conditions for recognizing development expenditure under IAS 38. Now, GHK, I'm deliberately going to option C first, okay? GHK purchased a brand name from a competitor for 65,000. This is a purchased intangible asset. Purchased intangible asset will be capitalized. कोई problem नहीं है. GHK spent 21,000 during the year on the development of a new product after management concluded it would be viable in November 2010. मतलब ड्यूरिंग द ईयर मैनेजमेंट ने बोल दिया कि इट वुड बी वायबल, द प्रोडक्ट इज बीइंग लॉन्च्ड ऑन 1st of December. See, if you remember IAS 38, launch of the product was not a condition anywhere, but yes, financial feasibility, intention to complete the product, intention to complete the project, all of these were important conditions, and that gets fulfilled in statement D. Now, B, GHK purchased a subsidiary during the year. During the fair value exercise, it was found that subsidiary had a brand name with an estimated value of 50,000 but had not been recognized by the subsidiary as it was internally generated. Now, let's discuss reason for B. ठीक है? From the subsidiary's point of view. POV means point of view. ठीक है? From subsidiary's point of view, what is brand name? Brand name is an internally generated intangible, and as per IAS 38, internally generated intangible assets cannot be capitalized. Very clearly, तो subsidiary तो capitalize नहीं कर सकता, but GHK, when it acquired the subsidiary, GHK knows na ki how much did I pay for the brand name. For GHK, which is the acquirer, which is the acquiring company, acquirer or parent or holding company, उसको तो पता है ना कि for the holding company, it acquired the subsidiary, it acquired the brand name also from the subsidiary for 50,000. Now, from the parent's point of view, see, for the parent, the brand is an acquired or purchased intangible asset, है ना? पेरेंट के लिए वो इंटरनली जनरेटेड नहीं है, पेरेंट के लिए वो acquired intangible asset है. So, parent will recognize the brand name as an intangible asset in consolidated financial statements. ठीक है, पेरेंट उसको रिकॉग्नाइज करेगा बिकॉज पेरेंट के लिए वो अक्वायर्ड इंटेंजिबल है, पेरेंट के लिए वो इंटरनली जनरेटेड इंटेंजिबल नहीं है. ठीक है, हैव अ लुक and try to understand why did we choose, matlab, why did we not choose the other answers. It's equally important to know that. ठीक है, if you have any questions, let me know. ठीक है, चलो, what is it for holding and what is it for subsidiary plus the reasons for doing that, ये सब important points है. You should know the reason why you chose a particular thing. You should also know the reason why you said no to a particular thing. ठीक है, चलो, अभी एक और देखेंगे. Which of the following could be classified as a development expenditure in M's statement of financial position as at 31 March 20Y0 according to IAS 38 intangible assets? Which of the following could be classified as development expenditure? ठीक है, 1,20,000 spent on developing a prototype and testing a new type of propulsion system. The project needs further work on it as the system is currently not viable. A payment of 50,000 to a local university's engineering facility to research new environmentally friendly building techniques. Now look at option A before we move ahead any further. What is option A all about? Option A में कुछ तो एक prototype you have developed but currently it is not viable, है ना? Currently not viable मतलब there is no technical feasibility. If it is not technically feasible, then you cannot capitalize. Then what else do you have? Payment of 50,000 to a local university to do research. They have asked you development expenditure, तो ये भी नहीं आएगा. 35,000 developing an electric bicycle. This is near completion and the product will be launched soon. As this project is the first of its kind, it is expected to make a loss. 65,000 developing a special type of new packaging for a new energy efficient light bulb. The packaging is expected to reduce M's distribution cost by 35,000 a year. Which of the following could be classified as development expenditure? See, it is right now making a loss, है ना? So it is not expected to bring in future economic benefits. Condition क्या है? That item intangible या development expenditure should bring in future economic benefits. यहाँ पे loss हो रहा है, so it is not future economic benefits. Viability अपने को नहीं पता. Here it is expected to reduce M's distribution cost. It is bringing us future economic benefits. Correct answer is option D. सिर्फ करेक्ट आंसर इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, करेक्ट आंसर के पीछे का रीजन भी इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, सो मेक श्योर दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड द व्हाई बिहाइंड एवरीथिंग. इज दिस पार्ट क्लियर टू एवरीवन? ठीक है, लेट मी नो इन द चैट बॉक्स इफ इट्स क्लियर. चलो, let's do another one. AMCO carries out research and development. In the year ended 30th June, AMCO incurred total cost in relation to the project X of 7,50,000, spending the same amount each month up to 30th of April. ठीक है, when the project was completed, the product produced by the project went on sale from 31st of May. The project had been confirmed as feasible on 1st of Jan and the product produced by the project was expected to have a useful life of 5 years. What is the amount of development expenditure asset? ठीक है, डेवलपमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर असेट बोला है आपको. ठीक है, now when was the project confirmed as feasible? Feasibility कब से establish हुआ? Feasible on 1st of Jan. ठीक है, and when was the project complete? 30th April 2005 को project was completed. So development expenditure to be capitalized. This should be from 1st of Jan 20x5 to 30th of April 20x5, इनका टोटल कॉस्ट ऑफ 7,50,000, ठीक है. इन द ईयर एंडेड 30th June, it incurred total cost in relation to project X of 7,50,000, spending the same amount each month up to 30th of April. तो कैसे कैलकुलेट करेंगे बताइए. ये 7,50,000 is still what date? In the year ended 30th June, AMCO incurred total cost of 750, spending the same amount each month up to 30th of April. So, आपका जो financial year है वो क्या है? आपका financial year है 1st of July 20x4 to 30th of June 20x5. ठीक है. Amount of 750 was incurred. Now, total amount incurred till 30th of April 20x5, ठीक है. टोटल अमाउंट इनकर्ड टिल 30th of April 20x5 is 7,50,000. नाउ ये पीरियड क्या है? दिस पीरियड इज 1st of July 20x4 to 30th of April 20x5. July, August, September, October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March, April, 10 months. They are saying same amount is incurred each month. So, expenditure per month will be 7,50,000 upon 10, that is 75,000. Now, from the date it is feasible, उस date से you should be capitalizing the amount, है ना. तो कितना होगा amount to be capitalized? Amount to be capitalized will be 75,000 into 4, that is 3 lakh. But they have asked you what is the carrying amount of the development expenditure. Now, in case of development expenditure, amortization should start from the date the commercial production begins. The product produced by the project went on sale from 31st of May. Amortization of an intangible should start from the date the commercial production begins, ठीक है. So that date is 31st of May 20x5. So what is the amount of amortization? Amount of amortization will be 3 lakh upon 5. Why? Because it has a useful life of kitna? 5 years into, am I doing the right thing or not? I think I am. But May or 31st of May to 30th June is just 1 month, है ना. तो ये कितना हो जाएगा? 60,000 upon 12, 5,000. They have asked you what is the carrying amount. So carrying amount will be 3 lakh minus 5,000, that is 2,95,000. Had the question been what is the amount capitalized, your answer would have been option C. They have asked you what is the carrying amount of expenditure, therefore answer is option A. Do you now realize how critical it is to read the question and to understand what is asked? See, लॉजिक सेम है, कैलकुलेशन सब सही है, बट अगर आपको सही क्वेश्चन नहीं पढ़ा आपने, इफ यू डोंट रीड द करेक्ट क्वेश्चन, यू विल एंड अप कैलकुलेटिंग समथिंग एल्स, समथिंग दैट दे हैव नॉट आस्क्ड फॉर. सो बी वेरी केयरफुल विद दैट पार्ट, ठीक है. आई होप एवरीवन हैज अंडरस्टूड. नाउ one more. Let me put up the new question for you. I want you to read it carefully. Then we'll do it together. तब तक मैं अपना पानी लेकर आता हूँ, ठीक है. Have a look at this. Please go through the question. I'll be back in a moment. Dempsey Co. owns a pharma business with a year end of 30th September 20x4. Dempsey Co. commenced the development stage of a new drug on 1st of Jan 20x4. ठीक है, डेवलपमेंट स्टेज कब शुरू हुआ? Commenced the development stage 1st of Jan 20x4. 40,000 per month was incurred until the project was completed on 30th of June 20x4 when the drug went into immediate production. The directors became confident of the project's success on 1st of March 20x4. The drug has an estimated lifespan of 5 years and time apportionment is used where applicable. What amount will Dempsey charge to P&L for development cost, including any amortization, for the year ended 30th June 20x4? Sorry, 30th September 20x4. ठीक है. Now, see, Dempsey Company commenced the development stage on 1st of Jan. When did it become confident of project success? 1st of March 20x4. So, feasibility, commercial viability was established on 1st of March 20x4. ठीक है. Feasibility and commercial viability was established on 1st of March 20x4. ठीक है, तो that is the date from which the development expenditure should be capitalized, है ना? And so I will say capitalize from 1st of March 20x4 and the project was completed on 30th of June till 30th of June 20x4. So amount to be capitalized is 40,000. March, April, May, June, that is 4, 1,60,000. जो first 2 months है, अच्छा, amount to be capitalized is 160. And on 30th June 20x4, the drug went into immediate production. The directors became confident on so and so date. Now, if we had discussed this part just now, कि development expenditure has to be amortization शुरू होगा from the date the commercial production begins. So, amortization will start from 30th of June 20x4. ठीक है, so amortization will be 1,60,000 amount capitalized, has a lifespan of 5 years into July, August, September, 3 months. बताइए कितना होगा मेरा amortization? 1,60,000 upon 5. I think this will be 32,000 into 3 by 12. 8,000. But that is not all. See, Jan and Feb is the research phase. Amount incurred for Jan and Feb. $40,000 into 2. ठीक है. This is expensed off. ठीक है. So what is the total amount that you are going to expense off in P&L? Total expense in P&L was 80,000 plus 8, that is 88,000. Answer is option D. ठीक है. So again, one more question on IAS 38, and I believe interesting सा question है. Definitely there's a lot that you can learn in this one. Date of commencement of capitalization, जहाँ पे we often make a mistake, और जो number शायद we'll not, some of us will forget to include research cost, some of us will forget to capitalize something, period galat hoga. So this question is basically a solution to all of those problems. ठीक है. अब let's look at the next one. This one is based on IAS 36, impairment of assets. ठीक है, have a look. A division of an entity has the following balances in its financial statements: goodwill, plant, building, intangible, other net assets. Following a period of losses, the recoverable amount of the division is deemed to be 4 million. A recent valuation of the building showed that the building has a market value of 2.5 million. The other net assets are at their recoverable amount. The entity uses the cost model for valuing building and plant. ठीक है. To the nearest thousand, what is the balance on the following, on the building following the impairment review? ठीक है. Balance on the building following impairment review. Now there is a possibility कि यार some of us ना बहुत ज़्यादा इसमें calculation करने बैठेंगे, बहुत I know what is the first thing you will do. आपके दिमाग में क्या आया है? आप सबसे पहले carrying amount calculate करेंगे. Then you will compare that with the recoverable amount. So 23 lakh plus 8 lakh, 31 lakh. Actually carrying amount is way more than 4 million. तो आप पहले वो impairment निकालेंगे. You will allocate it to goodwill. Then you will allocate nothing to other net assets. ऐसे करके आप पूरे काम में लग जाएंगे. But understand कि यार इस क्वेश्चन में उतना करने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. Why not? The question says a recent valuation of what? Of the building showed that building has a market value of 2.5 million. ठीक है. Building has a market value of 2.5 million. What is recoverable amount? Recoverable amount is higher of fair value less cost to sell and value in use. Market value of 2.5 million. So today if you go to sell the building, you will get 2.5 million. Building का carrying amount है 23 lakh, उसका market value है 25 lakh. The entire CGU might be impaired, but is this specific building impaired? Tell me. उसका recoverable amount जो है that is 25 lakh, उसका carrying amount है 23 lakh. Is the building impaired in the first place? Think about it. For the building to be impaired, the carrying amount has to be more, the recoverable amount has to be less. इसका recoverable amount है 2.5 million, carrying amount है 2.3 million. The building is not impaired. बाकी के असेट्स आर इम्पेयर्ड, मतलब कैरिंग अमाउंट इज मोर। देखो कैरिंग अमाउंट कितना है इसका, टोटल कैरिंग अमाउंट, सबका टोटल ले लो आप। सो 7 लाख प्लस 9,50,000 प्लस 23 लाख प्लस 8 लाख प्लस 4,30,000, 51,80,000 कैरिंग अमाउंट है। रिकवरेबल अमाउंट है कितना, 4 मिलियन, मतलब 40 लाख। तो इम्पेयरमेंट कितना, impairment is 11,80,000. Now you remember the rule. The rule says allocate impairment loss to goodwill first. तो 1180 में से 7 यहाँ पे आप डालेंगे, बचेगा कितना, 7 लाख से गुडविल इम्पेयर किया, बचेगा 480। फिर आप 480, फिर यू विल रीड द लाइन की यार बिल्डिंग का मार्केट वैल्यू इज मोर देन द कैरिंग अमाउंट, सो बिल्डिंग इज नॉट इम्पेयर्ड, building is not impaired, and other net assets are at recoverable amount, so carrying amount is equal to recoverable amount, ये भी impaired नहीं है। फिर आप ये बचा हुआ 480 का लॉस you will allocate it to plant and to intangibles in the ratio of their carrying amount। बट ये सब करना क्यों है, क्वेश्चन में सीधा सीधा लिखा है व्हाट इज द बैलेंस ऑन बिल्डिंग पोस्ट द इम्पेयरमेंट रिव्यू, बिल्डिंग इज नॉट इम्पेयर्ड, सो बिल्डिंग, against building you cannot allocate any impairment loss, so building will remain at the same value. And very important, the company uses the cost model for building, so although market value is 2.5 million, company is using cost model, so market value, that is recoverable amount more than carrying amount, helps you to establish the fact that the company, so helps you to establish the fact that the asset is not impaired, but the company is using cost model, so asset cannot be shown at 25 lakh, it will have to be shown at 23 lakh. So please don't waste your time in calculations in this question, it is not required. Are you all with me? सोच के बताओ। Everyone, please let me know in the chat box so that I can proceed. Anik, Bhumika, are you with me? Cool. I'll just write down the reason here. The fact that market value is the recoverable amount. The fact that market value, that is recoverable amount, is more than carrying amount helps to establish the fact that the asset is not impaired, but company follows cost model, so asset should be shown at 23 lakh and not 25 lakh. This also is important for you to remember. Cool? Chalo. Let's move on to the next question. Just give me a moment. A vehicle was involved in an accident exactly halfway through the year. The vehicle cost 10,000 and had a remaining life of 10 years at the start of the year. Following the accident, the expected present value of cash flows associated with the vehicle is 3400. Fair value less cost to sell was 6,500. ठीक है. Cost of vehicle 10,000. ठीक है. When did the accident occur? Halfway. So impairment date is halfway through the year. So what is depreciation till impairment date? 10,000 upon 10 into 6 by 12. 10,000 upon 10 into 6 by 12. Carrying amount on impairment date. अभी ना मैं ये क्वेश्चन में आपको बताने वाला हूं कि हमारा कैलकुलेशन इतना जो हम कर रहे हैं ना वो यूजलेस है. क्यों वो भी बताता हूं आपको मैं, so that you don't spend time in doing unnecessary calculations in the paper. Expected present value of cash flows associated with the asset, that means value in use है 3,400, fair value less cost to sell है 6,500. What is the question? Question is recoverable amount of the asset. Recoverable amount of the asset following the accident. Recoverable amount is higher of fair value less cost to sell and value in use, है ना. तो ये सब करने का कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं है. What happens ना, हम कोई क्वेश्चन देखते हैं एंड वी स्टार्ट कैलकुलेटिंग कि अरे नहीं हमने इम्पेयरमेंट का ये देखा, डेप्रिसिएशन निकालो. क्यों? जरूरत ही नहीं है. उतना ही करो जो पूछा है. What is the question? What is recoverable amount? Recoverable amount is higher of fair value less cost to sell and value in use. Fair value less cost to sell is 6,500, which is the higher amount, not the value in use 3,400. ठीक है. So recoverable amount is 6,500. ये क्वेश्चन अगर आप सही पढ़ते तो ये आप 30 सेकंड्स में करके भी आगे निकल सकते थे, लेकिन इफ यू डोंट रीड तो फिर यही होगा. Now I think all of you must have realized only knowing the concepts is half of the battle. The important part of the battle is reading the requirement properly. If you don't read the requirement तो आप वो कैलकुलेशन करने में अपना लाइफ वेस्ट करेंगे जो आपको कभी पूछा ही नहीं है. ठीक है. So I think the objective of these sessions, along with of course getting you the technical stuff, is getting you this specific aspect in the paper कि पढ़ो क्वेश्चन को. चलो, let's have a look at the next one. The net assets of Fingal, a CGU, are PPE 2 lakh, allocated goodwill 50,000, product patent 20,000, net current assets 30,000. As a result of adverse publicity, Fingal has a recoverable amount of only 2 lakh. What would be the value of Fingal's property, plant and equipment after the allocation of impairment loss? ठीक है. So carrying amount 3 lakh. Recoverable amount 2 lakh, where carrying amount is greater than recoverable amount. The difference is that there is an impairment. ठीक है. So आपका total impairment कितना होगा? 3 lakh minus 2 lakh. Carrying amount minus recoverable amount. Now impairment loss is allocated as under. What is the rule? First to goodwill, then to any specific asset, if so instructed in the question. ठीक है. Then to other assets in the ratio of their carrying amounts. ठीक है. सो ये तो कुछ दिया नहीं है स्पेसिफिक असेट इन द क्वेश्चन. सो टोटल इम्पेयरमेंट लॉस ऑफ 1 lakh, adjust 50,000 against goodwill and then against the remaining two assets, property, plant and equipment and product patent, in the ratio of their carrying amounts. So after allocating 50,000 loss to goodwill, the remaining 50,000 loss will be allocated to PPE and product patent, intangible, in the ratio of their carrying amounts, which is 2 lakh is to 20,000. एक बात ऑब्जर्व करो. See, net current assets are not impaired. Current assets are not impaired. If you remember the items which were given under the exception in IS 36, those included net current assets. So current assets basically. So net current assets are not impaired. ठीक है. Asset carrying amount, then impairment loss and closing balance. PPE and patent, 2,20,000. Total is 2,20,000. 50,000 into 2 lakh upon 2,20,000. Sorry, not 50,000. What am I doing? Correct. 50,000 into 2 lakh upon 2,20,000, and here it will be 50,000 into 20,000 upon 2,20,000. करेक्ट. बताइए न्यूमरेटर में कितना आएगा? टेल मी इन द चैट बॉक्स. 45455 है ना? 45455 and this will be 4545. तो 2 lakh minus 45455 and 20,000 minus 4545. आपको क्या पूछा है? आपको ये पूछा है. Oh God, loud. This is okay. What would be the value after allocation of impairment loss? The answer is option A. This would be the value. ठीक है. Have a look at the calculation bit. देखो एक बार. If you have any questions, let me know. ठीक है. Perfect. Let's move on to the next question in your sheet, which is again on impairment. Have a look. Riley acquired a non-current asset on 1st of October 20x9 at a cost of 1 lakh, which had a useful life of 10 years and a nil residual value. The asset had been correctly depreciated up to 30th December 20y4 At that date, the asset was damaged and an impairment review was performed. On 30th September 2024, the fair value of the asset less cost to sell was 30,000 and the expected future cash flows were 8,500 per annum for the next 5 years. The current cost of capital is 10% and a 5-year maturity at $1 per annum at 10% would have a present value of 3.79. Annuity factor दिया है आपको, ठीक है. We have to calculate the amount charged to P&L for impairment loss to be put in P&L. That is what they have asked you. Now, what is the date of purchase? 1st of October 20x9. ठीक है. What is the cost? $1 lakh. What is useful life? 10 years. So what will be SLM depreciation per annum? It will be $10,000. 1 lakh upon 10. Residual value दिया ही नहीं है आपको, मतलब sorry, residual value is nil. Now the asset had been correctly depreciated till 30th September 2004. So 2009 से लेके 2014 September. So October 2009, September 2010, September 2011, 12, 13, 14. How many years passed till date of impairment? 5 years. So total depreciation will be 10,000 into 5. That is how much? 50,000. So carrying amount on 30th September 20Y4 will be $50,000. ये है आपका 1 lakh minus 5 years का depreciation. Now, recoverable amount is higher of two things: fair value less cost to sell या फिर value in use. Value in use is basically present value of cash flows. ठीक है. fair value less cost to sell कितना है? fair value less cost to sell is 30,000 and value in use कितना है? value in use is C, present value of future cash flows, 8,500 each year for next 5 years. Annuity factor is 3.79. So value in use is present value of cash flows, 8.50 into 8500 into 3.79. 8500 per annum into annuity factor for 5 years, 3.79. Now what is the higher of the two? 32215 is the higher of the two, है ना? If 32215 is the higher of the two, impairment loss कितना होगा? Impairment loss is carrying amount minus recoverable amount, which should be 50,000 minus 32215. Impairment loss 17,785 and I believe that is your answer. So मैं यहाँ पे लिख रहा हूँ 50,000 minus 32215. ठीक है? Is this clear to everyone? ठीक है? चलो, one last section A question, after which we'll go to a section B question. See, ऐसे section A section B में कोई difference नहीं है. Okay, they are not like from a different universe. It's the same set of concepts that you will have over and over again. What should be the amount charged to profit and loss for impairment of this asset? Riley acquired a non-current asset on 1st of October 20x9 at a cost of 1 lakh, which had a useful life of 10 years and a nil residual value. The asset had been correctly depreciated up to 30th September 20y4. At that date, the asset was, oh, is it the same thing? हाँ शायद मैंने same question paste कर दिया. My bad. Yes. At 30th September 20x3, the value of Dune's property in its statement of financial position comprised cost 45 million, useful life 15 years, accumulated depreciation 6 million. ठीक है. Cost of asset कितना है? 45 million. ठीक है. And useful life कितना है? In years 15. So what will be SLM depreciation per annum? 3 million. Now, what is the accumulated depreciation till date? 6 million. Per annum depreciation is 3 million. Accumulated depreciation is 6 million. How many years have passed? बताना तो. How many years have passed? एक साल का 3 million, तो 6 million will be for 2 years. 6 million upon 3 million. ठीक है. On 30th September 20x3, this is the information. On 1st of April 20x4, Dune decided to sell the property. The property is being marketed by a property agent at a price of 42 million, which was considered a reasonably achievable target price at that date. The expected cost to sell have been agreed at 1.5 million. ठीक है. Have been agreed at 1 million, sorry. Recent market transactions suggest that the actual sale price achieved for this type of property in the current market conditions would be 10% less than the price at which they are marketed. At 30th September 20x4, the property has not been sold. At what value should the property be shown in the statement of financial position? At 30th September. ठीक है. My financial year is from what date to what date? It is from 1st of October 20x3 to 30th of September 20x4. ठीक है. The decision to sell the property was done. Property is being marketed at a price of 42 million and everything. तो उसका क्या मतलब है? ओ कैरिंग अमाउंट टिल डेट के बाद ना मैं लिख दे, सॉरी, accumulated depreciation के बाद let me write down the carrying amount on 30th September 20x3. 45 minus this. ठीक है. 45 million minus 6 million. अच्छा, tell me which standard is this question on? ये किस standard पे है question? Write in the chat box. Question किस standard पे है? Question is on, बताइए chat box में. IFRS 5. No, the question is not on IAS 5 करके स्टैंडर्ड हमारे सिलेबस में नहीं है. The standard is IFRS 5. Non-current assets held for sale. ठीक है. Now, asset to be classified as held for sale on what date? On 1st of April 20x4. So no depreciation from, if you remember, the moment the asset is classified as held for sale, there is no depreciation, but depreciation will be calculated till 30th September 20x3. ठीक है, sorry 20x 30th September 1st of April 20x4. So depreciation will be per annum depreciation 3 million into 6 by 12, which should be 1.5 million. Then carrying amount on 1st of April 20x4 will be 39 million minus 1.5 million, that is 37.5 million. ठीक है, and non-current asset held for sale is valued at lower of carrying amount and fair value less cost to sell. Carrying amount आपका है 37.5 million. Fair value less cost to sell कितना है? They have said that expected cost to sell have been agreed at 1 million, and recent transactions suggest that the actual sale price achieved is 10% less than the value at which they are marketed for. It is marketed for 42 million. ठीक है, so 42 million minus 10% minus cost of sale, है ना? ठीक है, सो 36.8 मिलियन आ गया इसका फेयर वैल्यू लेस कॉस्ट टू सेल. व्हाट इज द लोअर ऑफ द टू? 36,80,000 इज द लोअर ऑफ द टू. The difference will be shown as impairment loss. What value should the property be shown? The property should be shown at the lower of the two, that is 368 lakh or 36.8 million in the financial statements. Are you with me, all of you? Do let me know in the chat box. Any confusion in this one? Perfect. Chalo. Ab, it's time we turn our attention to a section B question. Okay. I'll give the question to you for a minute to go through. For a minute nahi, for 5 minutes to go through. मैं आपको question दूंगा and then we'll do it together. ठीक है. Section B question now will always be a mix of a conceptual theory question and a calculation based expectation. मतलब out of the, see, it's a small case study that you will get. तो वो केस स्टडी में आपको क्या करना है? वो केस स्टडी में मे बी आउट ऑफ 5 क्वेश्चंस देयर विल बी say 2 numerical and 3 will be theory based, or 3 numerical, 2 will be theory based. ठीक है, so I'm giving it to you. Have a look, spend 2 minutes on it, and then we'll do it together. I mean, you already have it. I have already shared the PDF file with you. ठीक है, chalo, have a look at this. I'll be back in a moment. Read the question carefully, then we'll do it together. चलो, speculate owns two properties and uses fair value accounting where possible. Property A, an office building used by speculate for administrative purposes. ठीक है, used for administrative purposes मतलब that makes it property, plant and equipment. At 1st of April, it had a carrying amount of 2 million and a remaining life of 20 years. On 1st of October 20x2, the property was let out to someone and was reclassified as an investment property. The property had a fair value of 2.3 million at 1st of October 20x2 and 2.34 million at 31st of March 20x3. What is the correct treatment when property A is reclassified as an investment property? ठीक है, so what is the carrying amount on 1st of April 20x2 कितना है? 2 million. ठीक है, and remaining life in years 20. So SLM depreciation per annum. Now it was revalued on, sorry, the classification changed on 1st of October. So depreciation till 1st of October 20x2. ये 6 months का हो जाएगा. So carrying amount on 1st of October 20x2 will be 2 million minus 50,000, 19 lakh 50,000. The property had fair value of 2.3 million. ठीक है, and you are changing the classification from PPE to investment property. ठीक है, so fair value on 1st of October 20x2 2.3 million, not 23 million. ठीक है, so increase in fair value through reval surplus OCI. 23 lakh minus 19 lakh 50,000, 3 lakh 50,000. ठीक है, so 3 lakh 50,000 will be routed through other comprehensive income. Is that right? है ना? Is that what they asked you? I guess so. What is the correct treatment when property A is reclassified as investment property? Take 3,50,000 gain to other comprehensive income. ठीक है, then which of the following models can speculate use to account for investment properties in its individual financial statements? It can use for accounting investment property. ठीक है, now इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी के लिए आप यूज कर सकते हो कॉस्ट मॉडल एंड यू कैन यूज फेयर वैल्यू मॉडल. इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी में रिवैल्यूएशन मॉडल को फेयर वैल्यू मॉडल बोलते हैं, नॉट द रिवैल्यूएशन मॉडल. सो करेक्ट आंसर इज ऑप्शन बी. प्लीज डोंट पिक अप रिवैल्यूएशन मॉडल. ठीक है, इन इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी द रिवैल्यूएशन मॉडल इज कॉल्ड द फेयर वैल्यू मॉडल. ठीक है, what is the total gain for investment properties to be included in speculates individual statement of profit or loss for the year ended 31 March 20x3? Enter your answer to the nearest dollar. ठीक है, when अच्छा, so here on this particular date the investment property on 1st of October 2002 was recorded at 2.3 million. Now 31st of March 20x3 को उसका fair value was 2.34 million. So fair value as on 31 March 20x3 is 2.34 million. ठीक है, change in fair value through P&L. कितना 40,000. दिस इज वन पार्ट. ये एक हो गया, अमाउंट टू बी रिकॉर्डेड थ्रू पी एंड एल. दूसरा क्या है? अनदर ऑफिस बिल्डिंग लेट ऑन अ 12-month लीज टू अ सब्सिडियरी ऑफ स्पेक्यूलेट. At 1st of April 20x2, it had a fair value of 1.5 million, which had risen to 1.65 million on 31st of March 20x3. ये था मेरा प्रॉपर्टी ए. अब मैं लिखूंगा प्रॉपर्टी बी. ठीक है. वैल्यू ऑन 1st of April 20x2 and fair value on 31 March 20x3. Change in fair value to be recorded through P&L. 15 lakh. Sorry, 1,50,000, not 15 lakh. 1,50,000 plus 40,000. How much will it be? 1,90,000. So, question 17 is 1,90,000. ठीक है. Now, in the individual and consolidated statement of speculate, how would property B be accounted for? In the individual financial statements of speculate, it will be investment property. Why? Because speculate has given the property on rent to the subsidiary company. But when you are consolidating, ठीक है, when you are two different entities, if I give my property to you, ठीक है, it is investment property for me. But now understand that the two entities are getting consolidated. If the two entities are getting consolidated, what does that mean? That means कि the two entities are now treated as one. अभी consolidate जब हो जाता है तो holding company and subsidiary company are not different. They are one and the same for the purpose of consolidation only. ठीक है. अब if they are one and the same, तो अभी holding और subsidiary अलग नहीं है, वो एक ही है. Holding and subsidiary are one. Holding and subsidiary are not different from each other. And is just one moment. हाँ. होल्डिंग एंड सब्सिडियरी आर वन. तो जब हम अलग अलग थे, आई हैड गिवन अ प्रॉपर्टी ऑन रेंट टू यू, इट वाज इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी. बट अब हम एक है, वी आर वन. तो देन दैट प्रॉपर्टी विच अभी, बिकॉज वी आर वन, दैट नाउ बिकम्स सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड प्रॉपर्टी. डू यू अग्री? व्हेन वी आर वन, नॉट व्हेन वी आर सेपरेट फ्रॉम ईच अदर. ठीक है. क्वेश्चन 18. व्हेन होल्डिंग gives property on rent to subsidiary, it is investment property for holding. When we consolidate, the holding and subsidiary are now considered one entity, not two separate entities. Okay, so this property, अब एक है ना, they are not two separate, they are one. So this property is now considered as occupied by the entity itself, since subsidiary is a part and parcel of holding company in consolidated financial statements, and occupied by itself means PPE. ठीक है. So holding has given property to subsidiary on rent. When holding has given property to subsidiary on rent, at that time it is investment property in the individual financial statements. But आपने उसको consolidate कर दिया. आपने उसको consolidate कर दिया मतलब now the two entities are one. And अभी एक है ना, आप subsidiary अलग company नहीं है, subsidiary is your part. That means this property is property that you yourself have occupied. So in the consolidated financial statements, it will be property, plant, and equipment. Do you agree? Have a look and think about it. Whatever I explained just now. है ना? Okay. Sure. What would be the carrying amount of property A? What would the carrying amount of property A be at 31 March 20x3 if speculate use the cost model for investment property? Cost model use करता तो 31st of March 20x3 को वैल्यू कितना होता? 19 मिलियन हो जाता, 19 लाख आई गेस, है ना? पूरा साल भर का डेप्रिसिएशन आ जाता, द वैल्यू वुड हैव बीन 19, है ना? व्हाई? बिकॉज सी यहाँ पे आपने कैलकुलेट किया था पर एनम डेप्रिसिएशन 20, सॉरी 1 लाख, ओपनिंग बैलेंस था 20 लाख, 20 लाख माइनस 1 लाख इज 19 लाख. ठीक है, सो दिस इज योर आंसर. आर यू विथ मी ऑल ऑफ यू? कूल. चलो अब one last set of questions, mostly theory questions in this part. theory मतलब logical conceptual theory. ऐसा नहीं है कि उसमें मतलब rote learning वाला नहीं है, दिमाग लगाने वाले questions हैं. Guys, just one moment, one moment. Okay, like I said, one more section B question and then we'll be done for the day. एक सेकंड ना. Wilrop Company has the following research projects as at 31st of March 20x7. Project 3 to 4. The project commenced on 1st of April 20x6 and incurred a total cost of 15 million during the period to 31st of December 20x6 on a pro rata basis. On 30th June 20x6, the directors were confident that the project met the capitalization criteria of IAS 38. The project was completed and began to generate revenue from 1st of Jan 20x7. It is estimated that the project will generate revenue for 5 years. So, if I were to talk of project 324, ठीक है, capitalization commenced on 30th June 20x6. ठीक है, project was completed. Project completed on What date? 1st of Jan 20x7. Capitalization stops, है ना? अब total cost of 15 million was incurred during the period to 31st of December 20x6. ठीक है. So what is the amount to be capitalized? 15 million into 6 by 12, 75 lakh. ठीक है. Now, which two of the following are required by IAS 13 in relation to amortization of intangibles? Intangible assets should be amortized over expected useful life or not at all if useful life is deemed to be indefinite. Intangible assets should not be amortized but instead reviewed for impairment losses. No, only those intangible assets which do not have a definite useful life and goodwill arising in a business combination. These are the only two things that should be tested for impairment losses. Everything else should be amortized. So this statement is not fully correct. Intangible assets should be amortized on the basis of expected pattern of consumption of future economic benefits. Intangible assets should not be amortized or impaired and simply carried forward at their original cost until sold or scrapped. ये भी मुझे गलत लगता है. You tell me, do you agree with this assessment that we have done? A and C are the only correct ones. ये बराबर है and ये भी बराबर है. Pattern of consumption. We usually use the SLM method because it reflects the pattern of consumption of that item. ठीक है. अब which two of the following are true in relation to IAS 38? IAS 38 requires revaluation of intangible assets where an entity has chosen to revalue its tangible assets. No, definitely not. ऐसा कोई रूल नहीं है. IAS 38 does not permit revaluation in any circumstances. No, ऐसा भी रूल नहीं है. IAS 38 says कि यार अगर if there is an active market and if you can determine the fair value, then please go ahead and determine the fair value and revalue. The thing is that most of the times you don't have an active market for intangible assets. IAS 38 permits revaluation of intangibles only if there is an active market. Yes, IAS 38 requires that initial recognition must be at cost. This is also true. ठीक है. Now, in accordance with IAS 38 intangible assets, what is the charge to statement of P&L in respect of project 324? अब इधर आओ. project 324 में मैं उसको नीचे लेकर आता हूँ. Amount to be capitalized is 75 lakh by the way. ठीक है. If sorry sir, हाँ 75 lakh. Now चेक करो इज इट कितना मंथ्स है. मैंने 6/12 कर दिया बट इज इट एक्चुअली 6/12? चेक करो. Conditions were on 1st of April it incurred cost of 15 million during the period to 30th September 2006. Okay, so this will be 15 million but this is not 12 months का cost. I started incurring the cost on 1st of April, so this should be into 6/9. ठीक है. Amount to be capitalized is 1 million. That is something which we should have read correctly. Okay, amount to be capitalized is this much. So amount to be expensed off कितना होगा? 15 million minus 10 million. एक तो 5 million will be expensed off and the project will be able to generate revenue from 1st of Jan 20x7. So you should capitalize an intangible, sorry, you should amortize the intangible asset only when it is ready for commercial production, right? So they have asked in respect of the year ended 20x7. So amortization starts on 1st of Jan 20x7 and year ended on 31 March 20x7. So amortization for 3 months कितना होगा? Amortization for 3 months एक तो amount to be capitalized, this will generate revenue for 5 years into 3 by 12, ठीक है, which is 5 lakh. 10 million divided by 5 into 3 by 12, which is 5 lakh. So total charge to P&L will be 50 lakh plus 5 lakh, which is 55 lakh. ठीक है. So that is 5.5 million. Now, in accordance with IAS 38, which of the following is or are true or false in respect of projects 325 and 326? The cost of project 325 should be expensed off in P&L for year ended 31 March 20x7. Project commenced on 1st of September 20x6. Cost of 20,000 per month were incurred until 31 March 20x7 when the project was abandoned. ठीक है. If the project was abandoned, there are no future economic benefits. Entire amount should be expensed off. है ना? So this statement is true. ठीक है. Then specialist equipment for project 325 should not be initiated as it has been abandoned. ठीक है. As it has been used in abandoned research projects. That is also incorrect. See, specialist equipment, because the project was abandoned, that is not good enough reason to not depreciate. उसको तो depreciate करना ही पड़ेगा. And cost of project 326 should be included as an asset in the statement of financial position as at 31 March 20x7. The project commenced on 1st of Jan 20x7. Cost of 40,000 per month were incurred until 31 August 20x7 when the directors increased the spend to 60,000 to complete the project quickly as a potential buyer on 20th of July. The directors had not been confident of the success of the project till this point. Your year ends on 31 March 20x7 and directors became confident of the success of the project on 20th of July 20x7. So 31st of March ko there is no promise of future economic benefits, so this should not be included as an asset. This statement is false. ठीक है. Now, during the year ended 31 March 20x8, Wilrob incurred the following cost: 4 lakh cost in staff cost, updating a computerized record of potential customers. ठीक है. 8 lakh for the purchase of a domain name for the website of an entity making substantial online sales. 4 million for a patent purchase to improve the production process with an expected useful life of 3 years. Which of the following should be capitalized as an intangible asset? Now, one will definitely not, because you don't know whether this will generate future economic benefits. You have purchased this intangible asset, which is a domain name website. Future economic benefits guaranteed, future economic benefits guaranteed. So answer is option C, 2 and 3. Okay. So this is basically what will be capitalized in the financial statements. Okay. So that was the list of questions that we had to do for today. We have done 14 questions from section A, 2 questions from section B. On Wednesday again, we'll be doing 15 questions from section A, 2 questions from section B, total 25 questions. The MCQ list will be sent on the group, which you have to prepare. Like I told you, I will be giving you some section C questions for homework, which I want you to solve and send it to me for review. My email ID is this. Okay, it's satyameth@gmail.com. So you can send your answers for review at this particular email ID. Another point, if possible, I will give you some more questions which you can do as practice test for these topics, and I'll give you a solution for those. Okay? Chalo. Thank you so much, guys, for attending the class, and I will see you again on Wednesday. Have a good day. Bye.